The rebuild is taking a turn nobody saw coming, and the pieces of this puzzle are starting to feel a bit uncomfortable. We're talking about massive changes, big-name veterans in the rumor mill, and the heat in Vegas is only turning up. The vibe is shifting fast, and the million-dollar question is, what is the front office hiding from us? I'm not just going to sit back and watch this unfold. So go ahead and drop a like and stay locked in until the end, because this could change everything. Maxx Crosby is, no doubt, the beating heart of our defense, a guy who bleeds silver and black. But let's be real about what's on the table. He hits 29 in August. In a rebuild cycle that's leaning on young studs like Brock Bowers and our rookie Fernando Mendoza, the question nobody wants to ask, but the front office has definitely discussed, is how much longer does he fit in this long-term window? Reports are saying the possibility of a trade for the Eagles' Jalen Carter is picking up real steam, and look, that messes with any fan. The idea thrown out there by analysts of a straight swap Crosby for Carter, it's the kind of move that makes you stop and think. Jalen Carter is an absolute beast. Young, scary potential, and exactly the kind of building block you anchor a defense around for 5-6 years. But then that nagging doubt creeps in, are we really going to give up the leadership and the infectious energy of a guy like Crosby? Even with Nakobe Dean recently stepping up to praise 98's work ethic and the impact he has in the locker room, the trade market doesn't care about feelings. The fact that his name has been floating around this offseason isn't just noise, it's a sign. If this actually goes down, is the front office prioritizing youth over the team's identity? Or have they realized that Max's market value right now might be the fuel we need to reach the next level on defense? It's a double-edged sword. If the plan is to reset the competitive clock, Carter makes sense. But on the flip side, losing a guy who, even off the field, sets the tone for our competitiveness, that's a risk that could cost us way too much. The fan base is split. On one side, the excitement for a generational talent like Carter. On the other, the fear of seeing the last true pillar of the old era leaving the desert. And don't get it twisted, this isn't confirmed. But the front office's silence on these rumors usually says a lot more than any official statement ever could. We're facing a link back up with the Jets, admitting mistakes and begging for a shot. And I gotta ask you, doesn't that sound like a guy who knows the clock is ticking? While he tries to rewrite his story in New York, the Raiders went in a completely different, and in my opinion, much more assertive direction. Bringing in Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker is, without a doubt, one of the smartest moves we've seen from this front office. The guys at ESPN gave this duo an A+, and it makes total sense. You've got Dean, the brains of the operation, the guy who reads the field like nobody else, and Walker, who is pure instinct, size, and speed. They complement each other perfectly. Coach Ronell Williams isn't hiding his excitement, and you can see why. Quay Walker has that physical size you can't teach, and Nakobe has that cerebral aggression that makes the whole defense spin. They aren't just replacing guys, they're elevating the group's football IQ. The question I'm throwing out to you guys is, are we finally building a defense that can hold it down for all 4 quarters? Jamal Adams was a gamble that didn't pay off, but the transition to Dean and Walker feels like the right course correction. It's a bet on youth, but it's a youth that has already shown leadership potential. If defensive coordinator Rob Leonard can get these two dialed in on positioning, we're going to have one of the most dynamic linebacker core in the league. It's a paradigm shift. We went from a household name, but one on the decline, to 2 hungry guys in their physical prime. Is it risky? Always. But if these guys perform like the scouting reports say they can, we might be looking at the backbone of our defense for the next 5 years. So, Raider Nation, do you trust this trade, or are you still missing a veteran name in the middle of the field? Now that we've put all these points on the table, we need to look at the big picture with the cold, hard focus that football demands. What we're seeing with the Raiders isn't just a series of random decisions. It's a structural shift that's challenging the team's very identity. On one hand, we've got the moral and strategic dilemma with Maxx Crosby. It's the classic fight between heart and head, keep the soul of the franchise, or capitalize in the middle of a rebuild to secure an elite talent like Jalen Carter. That's a question that keeps any fan up at night, and according to reports, it's being debated behind closed doors. It's not just about the talent, it's philosophical crossroads here, loyalty to our idol, or cutting ties for the sake of the future. We have to talk about the expectations on our offense, Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty. If the Raiders want to establish themselves in this league in 2026, it's in the hands and legs of these two that our destiny is written. Bowers, who had a brilliant rookie year but had it cut short by that knee injury, is being called one of the smartest players in the league. Former coordinator Scott Turner was clear, Bowers isn't just a tight end. He's got the explosive playmaking and technique of an elite wideout. The way he picks up adjustments, that's rare. But what's got me worried is, how's he going to bounce back physically after playing nearly 440 snaps while dealing with pain last year? The expectation is a huge leap in production, but that hinges entirely on his health. Without him at 100%, our playbook is just too limited. And then you add Ashton Jeanty into the mix. The kid was our first-round pick in 2025, and look, he's being treated as the future of our ground game. Christopher Knox over at Bleacher Report locked him in as a potential game-changer this year. He has that versatile style the modern NFL demands. He forced 61 missed tackles last season. That's not luck, that's raw talent. But let's keep it real. He averaged 3.7 yards per carry. That number has to go up. If the O-line doesn't open up lanes, no amount of talent is going to fix that. What makes me curious and maybe a little anxious is the workload management for these kids. The team is clearly betting on a very inexperienced core to lead our offensive output. What happens if the weight of being the fan base's only hope starts to get heavy? Are they ready to carry the weight of the silver and black every single week? I see some ridiculous potential here, but potential is just that. Potential. If they don't deliver this year, the narrative that the front office missed the mark building this roster is going to get deafening. They've got the flash, they've got the talent, but now they need the consistency. And that's exactly what separates the good players from the legends in Vegas. Life goes on in Las Vegas, and what we saw with Jamal Adams this offseason is proof that in the NFL, there's no room for the past. The guy was a big name, tried his luck here, switched positions to try and adapt, but at the end of the day, the results on the field didn't justify keeping him. Now, he's out there, trying to. About what the team means to us. On the other hand, the all-in bet on Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty, we're putting the future of the offense in the hands of two young, talented, and to some extent, inexperienced athletes under the pressure of an unforgiving league. Bowers has shown he has the mind of a vet, and Jeanty has the physical upside to be a star, but the transition from college to becoming a consistent NFL stud is a treacherous road. If they don't deliver the consistency this team needs this season, the questions about the front office being too aggressive and relying too much on youth are going to dominate the conversation in Vegas. It's a high-stakes gamble, and with that, the payout is huge if it works. And of course, the drastic change in our middle of the field. Moving on from Jamal Adams and bringing in Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker shows the staff wants more speed, more instinct, and less reliance on names who have already seen their best days. It's a necessary update, but one that brings uncertainty. Can the defense adjust fast enough to these new leaders? Will we have the grit needed to close out tight games? It all leads to one conclusion. This year is do or die. We don't have room for bad planning or another transition year going nowhere. We are facing a deep philosophical choice: loyalty to the icons of the past or moving on for the sake of a new future. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe this aggressive retooling is the fuel we needed to make a run at the playoffs, or are we watching a real problem grow quietly inside our own house? Drop a comment down below, because your opinion is the voice of our nation. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss any updates. See you next time, Raider Nation.